What's good, everybody, man? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the family. And if you're new, welcome back for the first time. Nah, that don't sound weird. Smack the sub button, hit the bell. You won't be disappointed. Join one of the most amazing families all across YouTube. I said it with pride because I've gotten to know everybody, and they're great people. Now, this right here, man, this right here is epic to me, okay? This is one of the greats to me. That's this guy, Chuck Norris, man. These guys are just the goats of beating people to a pulp if it has to be done. Nah, man, this one right here, Bruce Lee, amazing, superhuman speed. My hat's off to this guy. I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, and I think some of this generation could learn something about your boy Bruce, okay? Y'all don't know about Bruce, some of y'all don't. Let's get into the video, man. Excited about this one. You doing all right, family?
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
Like water.
Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot.
Bruce was that
now,
guy.
It can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
We have all heard of Bruce Lee as a martial artist, actor, instructor, director and screenwriter, stage director, and philosopher. Much has been told about Bruce Lee. Books and videos abound with opinionated information about his life. In this video, we will look at the legend Bruce Lee from a unique perspective, one not often talked about. You may have learned a lot about him, but did you know that his name was not really Bruce Lee, but Li Xiaolong?
I was guessing that. No, I didn't. I feel bad because I know him since I was like a kid. But yeah, let's go.
The Bruce Lee family believed that they had a terrible curse upon them. When their eldest son died and Bruce's mother became pregnant again, they prayed for the birth of a girl so that the curse would not transfer to her son. But the mother gave birth to a boy in the city of San Francisco. At the time, his father, a Cantonese opera star, was in another city on tour. The mother of the future actor was very scared and decided to give him a female name, Li Junfan. She even pierced his ear and inserted an earring. By doing so, she hoped to cheat the evil spirits.
Wow. I had no idea, man. I'm learning so much about this.
As a child actor, Bruce appeared on television for 3 months in the role of a baby girl. Some have said that the nurse who was nearby during childbirth called the boy Bruce. Others say it was the nurse who actually gave him his name. Wow. The fact is that his mother gave him the name Li Junfan, which meant return. Nevertheless, his mom believed that her son would return to the city where he was born. When he was a little older, he was called Li Yuancam, which meant never sitting still. Little Li rushed around the city, stole apples, and did not obey his parents. He did not want to study mathematics and the teachings of the English language, and constantly fought with other boys. At school, he was an eternal problem, made worse by the fact that he was often absent to be on film sets. And in the end, Bruce was expelled from school. At the age of 13, he often...
Bruce sounded like a lot of people struggle. I know, Bruce, man. That's why I like you so much, bro. I get it.
And fought with his peers, which left him feeling defenseless. William Chung, a close friend of Lee, when he first saw him as a child, was surprised how pale and thin he was.
Damn, did you?
He had long arms when he stood upright, with a
dude's feet are fastened in his hands.
His fingertips reaching almost to his knees. Instead of studying at school, Bruce decided to take up dancing, and after 4 years of hard training, he won the title of King of the Cha-Cha-Cha of Hong Kong. It is unlikely that anyone expected such success from him, but no one knew that he was achieving his goals. Bruce Lee begged William Chung to take him to kung fu classes, but before that, he had to persuade his parents. After pleading with his parents 3 times, they agreed. Bruce was hyperactive. There was a lot of energy in him. He, like a magnet, attracted trouble to himself. After having achieved some success in dancing, he decided it was time to take a new direction. Bruce came to the kung fu teacher and said, "Teacher, I know you are very good at kung fu, and I'm best at dancing cha-cha-cha. I want to combine these 2 arts and show the world something new." The martial artist Ip Man accepted Bruce, and Bruce seemed to have found his new love. He would remain at the kung fu class until the lights were turned off, often being forced to leave. Bruce would go after school at 4 p.m. and stayed until almost 11 p.m. He believed that if during training his clothes were wet with sweat, the day was not in vain.
I know that's right.
He would run for 5 kilometers, do hundreds of push-ups, endless hits on a sandbag, acrobatics, and contact fights. These all tempered the body and formed the spirit of Bruce Lee.
Dedication.
At the same time, he became a member of a street gang. It is known that Lee was called a bodyguard.
What? Bruce was in a gang? Man, I'm learning everything, son. Wow.
The code of honor that he learned during his kung fu training conflicted him internally. Bruce had a great sense of humor. He knew how to say something that could not only be delivered from his martial arts, but also from his jokes. William Chung said he's the only person whom I know who is ready to train kung fu 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Even when he was talking to me, he was doing some kind of exercise. And in the middle of the night, he would wake me up and say, I was thinking about protection for a new attack. Get up to show you now.
Wow.
Well, this is generally unbelievable. Look here. And it was about 4 in the morning, and I asked, have you already slept? And he said to me, no, what? I've come up with a new trick. Stop sleeping, get up, and let's go. He was just a perfectionist on the battlefield. He didn't move on to a new exercise until he had perfected the previous ones. We trained and trained on one exercise until I said, oh, Lee, I'm so badly tired. I shall go and drink some tea. 2 hours later, he was still doing the exercise. One day at a club in Hong Kong, Bruce saw a young American sailor bothering a young Chinese woman. Though Lee was alone, and there were many Americans, Bruce got into an altercation and was threatened with going to jail. His mother gathered his belongings in one evening to send him on to America, where he could obtain citizenship because he was born there. Lee was looking forward to seeing the great country where he was born. In America, Lee was frustrated when he saw that all the Chinese were capable of was either laundry or working in cheap restaurants. An acquaintance of his mother got Bruce a job as a dishwasher in one of those restaurants. But Bruce was very different from his compatriots. He dreamed about going to a university and read a lot in his spare time. The ambitious and quick-tempered Lee often fought with other Chinese who worked at the restaurant. Bruce's landlady gave him money to get an education, and he did go to the university in Seattle. While there, he gave paid kung fu classes, and then opened his own school, where he taught Eastern philosophy to his students. And there he met his future wife. As Linda Lee recalls, we practiced kung fu near the school. He repelled my blow, knocked me to the ground, and invited me to a restaurant.
Yo, no, the way they asked for dates back in the day was a little different, huh?
Months later, they began to think about marriage. Linda's parents, having learned about the Chinese groom, panicked. And when they first saw him at dinner, they wondered how this Asian, who was terribly dressed, was going to feed his future family by teaching Chinese wrestling. The second time they saw him, Bruce and Linda had eloped. Bruce said, I married your daughter. We are leaving tomorrow, and I'm still Chinese. The next day they left, Bruce did not graduate from the university and was expelled due to poor performance. But in fact, it was because of racial prejudice. Over time, Bruce became popular as an actor and as a master of martial arts around the world. He even forced fat producers to run 7 kilometers, do somersaults and push-ups from the floor. They, in turn, were proud and told their friends about this extraordinary little Chinese actor whose name became famous in Hollywood. At this time, Linda gave birth to their son, Brandon, who incidentally died during the filming of a movie from a malfunctioning blank cartridge. Bruce was only 28 years old when his son was born. And in 1969, their daughter Shannon was born. Malfunctioning
blank cartridge? Really? Okay.
Who also followed in the footsteps of her father. She attended his school studying Jeet Kune Do. Her coach was Bruce's best student. Today, Shannon is 50 years old and is a singer in films. The first kung fu competition in America was held at Long Beach. Bruce Lee fought with Dan Inosanto, his strongest opponent, and the owner of a black belt. After losing, Inosanto enrolled as an apprentice to Lee, which affirmed his authority around the world. But the leaders of other martial arts schools were against Bruce and called him to a meeting in order to force him to stop his martial arts lessons. Lee offered to solve this problem on the spot by dueling with any opponent they chose. If he lost, he promised to disappear forever. But if he won, he asked them to kneel before him. And so, the fight began. And of course, Lee won.
Woo!
When Bruce made a respectful bow after the fight, the opponent dishonorably kicked Bruce in the back. Lee was hospitalized with a broken spine. He could neither lie down nor stand. Doctors confined him to a special chair in which he had to spend several months. His wife brought him several books every day that he would promptly finish. Doctors said that at the best, he would be able to barely stand on his own. However, more than likely, he would remain permanently disabled. Despite these fears, that was not what happened. Bruce read everything he could get his hands on surrounding certain philosophies, and then developed his own methods to heal his body.
Wow.
After a while, he was ready to return to his former life and performance. In 1971, Bruce Lee starred in the movie The Big Boss in the title role. They spent only $100,000 on production, with sales and rentals in Hong Kong alone, bringing in $3 million. The next success was Fist of Fury, with $200,000 invested and a $10 million return.
I remember that.
At that time, not a single film in the history of cinema had achieved such a dramatic return on such little investment.
Bruce.
As a result, the film was banned in some areas due to traffic jams near the cinemas.
Wow.
After a subsequent film,
Chuck.
Way of the Dragon, which also starred Chuck Norris, Warner Brothers signed
if you don't know about this, go get up on your Bruce Lee and Chuck history, baby. It was crazy.
contract with Lee to shoot Enter the Dragon, with Lee writing the script and starring in the title role. Warner Brothers invested as much as $500,000 in the film and achieved a return of $150 million.
Damn.
Bruce Lee had a tight schedule, and he challenged himself with various exercises, proving that the possibilities of the human body are inexhaustible. As a result, Lee suffered a heart attack. The doctors prescribed him several medications. Bruce became irritable, often quarreling with his wife. After another argument with his wife, Lee went to Hong Kong and began working on the movie Game of Death. On July 20th, Bruce Lee and one of his friends met actress Betty Ting Pei. It had been said that she was Lee's mistress. Bruce complained of a headache and Betty gave him a pill and told him to lie down. Several hours later, they tried to wake him, but it turned out that Bruce had died. According to doctors, he died from cerebral edema, which happened due to hypersensitivity to the aspirin elements, which caused an allergic reaction. According to some rumors, traces of marijuana were found in his body, but many refuse to believe this. All in all, there are many speculated reasons for his death.
You're gonna have to tell me what the hell that has to do with anything. Let's go.
Because Bruce Lee had a lot of enemies who were envious and wished him ill will. He repeatedly told his wife that his family was cursed and that he would not live long.
And if you know the history of his family, man, that's just sad to hear.
Li Xiaolong was a great man, performing feats that most would be unable to accomplish. And in principle, there will never be another Bruce Lee. Take even his confrontation with a crowd of people alone. He had a set of truly unique abilities. Unbelievable speed, strength, and a remarkably strong blow. So much so that his strikes were too fast for the cameras to capture, and Lee was asked to do the punches a little slower. He could do push-ups on 2 fingers of one hand and pull himself up with his little finger. He would throw grains of rice into the air and catch them with his chopsticks. Bruce Lee starred in 36 films over his life, and almost as many documentaries and feature films about the actor were shot after his death. On stage, he was a ferocious hero who overcame any difficulties on the way to justice, a stern and ruthless fighter. But in ordinary life, Bruce Lee was a smiling and charming man who wholeheartedly loved his family.
That's all right.
And so he will remain in the hearts of his fans and loved ones. A great fighter, a great actor, and a great man.
That's it, man. Round of applause for Bruce Lee, man. Wow, man. I don't know about y'all, but I learned so much from that right there. And if you did, man, do us a favor of thumbing that one up and telling us something that you liked about it and giving us something that you want us to check out next, man. I appreciate you in advance for that, man. That was pretty dope, though, man. Like I said, I've been a Bruce Lee fan for since since I was a baby, man. I grew up on watching all of the, martial arts films, and Bruce Lee was in a great deal of them. So yeah, man, that's the guy, man. You know what I mean? You got to go check out some of this stuff. If you're in a generation now that's new and don't know of Bruce Lee, like, who in the world is this guy, man, do yourself a favor. Use your Google and go check out some of his old stuff. Now, it is the worst part of the video, family. Part where I got to go get more family content coming for the family. Right your way. Real soon, man. Make sure if you're new, smack the button, hit the bell, join the family, man, and leave us something in the comments. You won't be disappointed. Now, it is the worst part of the video. Part where I'm going to get busy for the family, yo. I'm going to get the content that you guys have dropped in the comments, because I really enjoy doing that. I love you guys and girls. Be safe, and I'll see y'all soon, man. Yeah. Ha. Blah.
Niggas hating on the kid, I guess it's cause I'm vicious. Rolling up in something new and taking all the bitches. How you get your car that tone, that shit is so prestigious. I would compliment your shit, but I would really mean it. Niggas hating on the kid, I guess it's cause I'm vicious.